Welcome to another edition of Inside the Inferno. I'm Tanner Buck, and alongside me at the desk is Isabella Perez, where we cover all things ASU athletics has to offer for us to talk about this week.
Thanks, Tanner. We got a lot to cover, from dominating the Icebreaker tournament to winning streaks on the volleyball court and a huge matchup coming up against number 7th ranked Texas Tech. It's been a big week for Sun Devil athletics, so let's jump right into it.
In this week's edition, we stay at the desk where we get some sparks flying for the Sun Devil 6. Starting us off at number 6 is Sun Devil Volleyball, where the front row trio of middle blocker Colby Neal and outside hitters Bailey Miller and Kyla Presley fortify together, blocking this attempt against Colorado to set the match point in the fourth set. At number 5 is a familiar face for Sun Devil Volleyball in the high-flying Colby Neal, who tomahawks this assist from setter Sydney Henry for the game match to seal it against 16th-ranked Baylor. Firing in at number 4 is forward Carmelo Crandall. The Canadian goes through the goalie's 5-hole off a deke thanks to a feed from forward Bennett Shimmick. This goal put ASU hockey up 3-0 in the second period over Notre Dame in the Icebreaker tournament. For number 3 is ASU Volleyball opposite hitter Naomi Glover, scoring back-to-back points with a kill and block to win the second set against Baylor. Diving in at number 2 on the pitch for women's soccer is goalie Pauline Nellis, who lays out to prevent the strike from scoring against West Virginia. Cruising in at number 1 this week is Sun Devil hockey forward Cruz Lucius, who had the hot hand with a deadly wrist shot, setting 3 goals within a 5-minute span in the third period. This marked the first collegiate hat trick in Sparky's 5-2 win over Alaska Fairbanks in the Icebreaker tournament final. That is all for this week's edition of the Sun Devil 6, as I toss it back to my co-anchor, Isabella.
The action isn't just happening on campus. Our Sun Devil alumni are making moves at the next level too. Our very own Ian King is here to check on how some of ASU's best are doing in the pros in this week's edition of Pro Devils.
Thanks, Isabella. With the NHL season finally underway and the NBA season right around the corner, I'm excited to be able to shed some light on some more Pro Devils. Let's start in the Big Apple with New York Giants running back Cam Skattebo, who's powered his way to the starting job in the Big Blues backfield. In his most recent game, he dominated the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles in a 34-17 upset, accounting for over 100 all-purpose yards and 3 touchdowns. His stellar performance led to 2 awards, one of them being the FedEx Player of the Week, but an even greater honor, the Nickelodeon's Valuable Player, also known as the MVP. Switching gears to the NHL, forward Josh Doan played a large role in the Buffalo Sabres' first win of the season on Wednesday, tallying 3 assists in an 8-4 victory over the Ottawa Senators. Rounding it out between the pipes, Seattle Kraken goalie Joey Decord, who was recently lifted into the rafters of Mullet Arena, has been off to a clean start this season. Before Wednesday's 5-4 loss to the Montreal Canadiens, Decord has allowed just 1 goal per game against the Vegas Golden Knights and Anaheim Ducks. With a .92 save percentage on the season so far, it'll be interesting to see how Decord and the rest of these Pro Devils continue their journeys at the professional ranks. Back to the desk.
After going unbeaten through its first 10 games, Sun Devil Soccer has lost 4 of its past 5, most recently losing 3-2 to number 11 Texas Tech on Thursday night at Sun Devil Soccer Stadium. Mihir Sinhasan joins us now to talk about the team's skid. Mihir, this is the top 10 team that beat a BYU top 10 side team a month ago. What's happened since?
You know, the Big 12 has happened, Tanner. It's been so interesting just to see the types of games the Sun Devils have played. And you talk about BYU. They've struggled as well in conference play this season. That shows you the parity that goes on in the Big 12. As for ASU, its offense has just not been able to keep up on the road. And after beating Cincinnati, it lost to West Virginia and Colorado. The Sun Devils played against tough competition, but have dealt with injuries as well, specifically on Thursday night against Texas Tech, where backup goalkeeper Olivia Herrera came off the bench as a forward. You know what's even crazier? Head coach Graham Winkworth, for better and for worse, said after the game that she played as well as her teammates. So even though ASU is playing these competitive matches, you wonder how much they can control in the end.
Mahir, you talk about control, and the one thing that Maroon and Gold can't control is making the Big 12 tournament. What do those chances look like right now?
You know, it's very interesting, Isabella, because last year's Big 12 tournament in Kansas City had 12 teams. This year, only 8 teams will qualify. So as of right now, the Sun Devils season would be over before postseason play. Fortunately for Graham Winkworth's side, the schedule gets a little bit better, facing Iowa State, who has only picked up 1 win in conference play, and Utah, who has a similar record to ASU and has not won a conference game at home this season. The catch, though, both games for the Sun Devils are on the road, so they have to be able to win these close and gritty battles.
I mean, Mihir, when you take a look at these last 4 games, what can the Sun Devils do to improve?
You know, I go back to that offense, specifically its veteran core. I take a look at what we've seen from Texas Tech and many other games where they're not creating as many chances as before, but they're definitely economizing their opportunities in front of net. So let's take a look at that Red Raider matchup from Thursday night. Down 2-0 at halftime, Winkworth asked his players to name the team's best and really only good player from the first 45 minutes. And that player was senior midfielder Peyton Marcis, who scored the Sun Devils' first goal. She then assisted on Sierra Bergen's equalizer moments later. So even though the Sun Devils struggled early, they made it a game. And if they can do that against the number 11 team in the nation, they can do it against anybody in the conference.
Thanks, Mihir, for giving us some insight into the Sun Devil soccer squad. The Sun Devil volleyball team is on an absolute roll, riding a 9-game win streak and staying undefeated in the Big 12 Conference as they show no signs of slowing down. For more on its dominant run, let's send it over to Tyler Wargo.
Thanks, guys. Arizona State volleyball remains slotted in the top 10 of the AVCA rankings. The Maroon and Gold moved up to 1 spot to number 7 in the latest rankings released on October 12th. ASU has won its last 9 games while remaining undefeated in conference play with 6 wins. The Sun Devils have 1 loss and on the road and 8 wins at home this season. Last night, Arizona State increased its conference winning streak to 22 games after the Sun Devils snagged a win on the road, taking down number 19 BYU in 5 sets. The Sun Devils were led in the match by both opposite hitter Noemi Glover and outside hitter Bailey Miller. Glover led the team with 19 kills, 3 digs, and 7 blocks. Miller had 16 kills and 14 digs. And middle blocker Colby Neal had a team high of 10 blocks in the match. Looking ahead, the Sun Devils head north to the Beehive State to face the Utes on Saturday at 12 o'clock. For now, Sun Devils are in the driver's seat for having yet another good season. However, will they stay consistent during the times when it matters most? We will have to just find out. Back to you all at the desk.
Thank you, Tyler. We now switch gears and go to Anna Hallgren, who gives us an in-depth look at the action going on in the water for ASU Swim and Dive.
Arizona State Swim and Dive has gotten out to a quick start with 2 wins to begin the season. First, it kicked off its year in front of a record-breaking crowd against UNLV. And then, last week, the Sun Devils made their way to Tucson to compete in the All-Arizona Invite. Among the teams competing were NAU, University of Arizona, and GCU. ASU swept the board with the men's and women's team taking first place.
You mentioned that record crowd at the UNLV meet. What exactly did that environment look like?
An NCAA record of 2,867 students attended the dual meet. Not only did fans pack out the bleachers on the pool deck, but spectators also watched from a nearby parking garage. Business professor Matt McCarthy played a huge role in cultivating the groundbreaking crowd. He offered extra credit to any of his students who stayed for the duration of the meet.
It also looked like the team had fun supporting other sports. Tell me more about the squad's activities outside the pool.
The men's and women's teams supported Sun Devil volleyball last Wednesday and Saturday. The squad cheered on the volleyball team after it won against Utah and Baylor. Here, take a look. As you can see, the vibes remain high as the team looks to set the tone for the rest of the season.
Thank you, Anna. As we transition from the pool to the chilly confines of Mullet Arena, the fan support didn't end there as we take a look at Sun Devil hockey.
The ice was cold, but the Sun Devils stayed hot. ASU men's hockey hosted the 28th edition of the Icebreaker Tournament in Tempe last week. Mason McKenzie highlights the team's play.
Number 15 Sun Devil hockey bounced back from a series loss to Penn State by taking home the Icebreaker Tournament in its first ever appearance. Friday night at Mullet Arena, Notre Dame opened the game with 2 early penalties that the Sun Devils couldn't capitalize on. But late in the first period, the Fighting Irish took a 5-minute major, and ASU captain Kyle Smolin made them pay by scoring his first of the season to give the Sun Devils a 1-0 lead. Less than 2 minutes later, ASU forward Noah Powell added his first goal as a Sun Devil, making it 2-0 heading into the intermission. Early in the second, ASU forward Carmelo Crandall buried his first career goal to extend the lead to 3. Notre Dame answered, making it 3-1, but ASU goaltender Sam Urban got on the score sheet with an assist to forward Benjamin Keevan. The Sun Devils went on to win that game 5-3. Recorded their first win of the season. And then in Saturday's championship game against Alaska Fairbanks, forward Logan Morrell opened the scoring with a power play goal, and Smolin added another to make it 2-0. Forward Cruz Lucius then took over, scoring twice in under 2 minutes before completing the hat trick with an empty netter. Arizona State closed out the weekend with a 5-2 win and its first Icebreaker Tournament championship. The team heads to Augustana for a 2-game series starting tomorrow night.
Thank you, Mason. Brennan Bucher is in studio to give us an inside look at Sun Devil football's throwback jerseys this weekend.
What's old is new again for ASU football. The Sun Devils not only have their biggest matchup of the year, needing a win facing 7th-ranked Texas Tech, but they are also donning the uniforms of one of the greatest Arizona State teams of all time. The 1975 Sun Devils won a perfect 12-0 and beat Nebraska in the Fiesta Bowl. The team, coached by the legendary Frank Kush, had 4 NFL draft picks. Defensive back Mike Haynes would go 5th overall to the New England Patriots, and linebacker Larry Gordon would go 17th overall to the Miami Dolphins. ASU will kick off at 1 p.m. in these beautiful uniforms behind me. While not an exact replica, the cream-colored jerseys with 3 stripes and gold pants pay homage to the great team that finished number 2 in the nation. The logo has the same sun surrounding Sparky as it did around the ASU letters written out. The Sun Devils debut these bad boys tomorrow against the Red Raiders, where they look to replicate some of the success that the 75 team found. Guys?
Thank you, Brennan, for giving us a historical breakdown of the maroon and gold's uniform this week. Now join us at the desk to discuss the latest on some of these injuries is our own Adam Cunin. Adam, thank you for joining us. ASU seems to be stacking up injuries across the board, but the focus has really been on sophomore quarterback Sam Levitt, who missed last week's game against Utah. What's his status coming into this Saturday?
Yeah, Sam Levitt was listed as probable with a right foot injury on that Big 12 availability report that's been put out the past 2 nights. This means that it's likely that he will suit up on Saturday against Texas Tech, and kind of the telltale sign that he might be trending towards playing was once he came out to practice without the tape around his right foot. In weeks prior, he did have that tape wrapped around his foot, but last Wednesday, the tape was off. He took reps with the first team, he was moving, and he looks ready to go.
Adam, many other Sun Devils were also on the injury report. Who are some other key names that won't suit up for ASU this week?
Yeah, well, earlier in the week, Kenny Dillingham provided some updates on a few major injuries, and he revealed a few critical blows that the team is going to be taking.
Yeah, I mean, Cyrus is going to be out for the year. He had season-ending surgery, unfortunately. X is, significant, is going to be out for a significant more time. Hopefully, we'll find a way to get him back at the end of the season, but he'll be out for a significant amount of time. Unfortunately, Ben Coleman is going to be out for the year. Which is unfortunate, so he'll be out.
As Dillingham mentioned, senior linebacker Cyrus Fiaseu, who missed the last 2 games with a lower body injury, got season-ending surgery. Meanwhile, graduate guard Ben Coleman suffered a season-ending injury to his left arm against Utah. So there are also a few players who will remain sidelined for the next few weeks, like senior safety Xavier Alford, who missed a significant portion of the season, and junior running back Kyson Brown, who continues to deal with a nagging ankle injury.
Adam, I mean, all these injuries obviously are going to hurt all 3 units, but where does ASU hurt the most in terms of injuries?
I think it'll be on the offensive line. Ben Coleman was someone who was on the Pat Tillman Leadership Council and was a critical voice up front that the Sun Devils will no longer have at their disposal. Redshirt freshman Wade Helton got the start at center last week, and he comes in a little bit banged up, but he'll likely slide into that center slot. And on the left side, senior Jamedo Abigbo will likely get his spot back at left guard. However, also look for junior Jalen Clem to possibly get some playing time on that left side of the line, either at tackle or at guard. And it'll be overall an uphill trek for this banged-up Sun Devil squad, but the return of Sam Levitt at least gives Sparky a glimmer of hope after a brutal week of injuries.
Thank you for joining us at the desk, Adam, to break down the Sun Devil injuries. After a tough loss last week against Utah, the Sun Devils are looking to bounce back, but it won't be easy. For a closer look at what ASU needs to turn things around, here's Kai Janagabis with this week's edition of Kai's Corner.
Thank you, Isabella. The Arizona State Sun Devils look to bounce back after a 32-point loss to the Utah Utes last Saturday and now get ready to take on the number 7th ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders. With ASU's quarterback Sam Levitt likely being back in the mix, the Sun Devils hope to not only keep themselves in the Big 12 championship race, but also sneak back into the AP Top 25. The Maroon and Gold's only 2 losses have come against Mississippi State and most recently Utah. Sitting at a record of 4-2, Texas Tech remaining undefeated, making this a tough challenge at Mountain America Stadium tomorrow, especially with Texas Tech defense, where they rank first in the FBS in rushing defense, 17th in red zone defense, and 9th in total defense, all while leading the Big 12 in sacks and still not allowing over 17 points a game. ASU will need to adjust to its playing style to combat this stellar defense because the Sun Devils rank top 30 in rushing yards per game. It's imperative that they need to move the ball through the air in order to get their offense going. But not only that, they need to get all their wide receivers involved. When ASU shares the ball more, they'll in turn see more success. ASU will also look to its own defense to take down a top 3 passing offense in the FBS, which is being led by Texas Tech's very own Vernon Morton, who also ranks 8th in passing efficiency. Morton, who's considered as one of the best QBs in the FBS right now, will have to adjust to Arizona's defensive coordinator Brian Ward's 4-3 defensive scheme. Will Texas Tech maintain its undefeated record, or will the Sun Devils pull off the upset and maintain their undefeated record at home? We will just have to wait and see what this matchup has in store for us on Saturday night.
And that does it for a jam-packed episode of Inside the Inferno. Isabel, it's an honor getting to share the desk with you on my first show as an anchor.
Same here, Tanner. If you want to keep up with everything Arizona State athletics, don't forget to follow us on X and Instagram at Inferno and Tell, and check out our website at infernoandtellmedia.com. For Tanner Buck and our entire crew behind the scenes, I'm Isabella Perez, and thank you for tuning in to Inside the Inferno.